Hello, welcome to Sunday Bible Story Time. As we study this story, we've been using a big picture question to help us focus on some specific ideas. Can any one of you remember the question and answer? How can we glorify God? We can glorify God by loving Him and obeying Him. God created us to love Him and all His way are best. We glorify Him by showing with our actions and words that we believe that truth about God. He is perfect and it is right for us to love Him and obey Him. 2 weeks ago, we talked about the first steps God's people took into the promised land. God held back the Jordan River for His people to cross. That we learn about battle they fought against Jericho. God brought down the walls of Jericho so His people could defeat their enemies. This week, we will learn about other large battles the Israelites fought against 5 kings and their armies. We will also see how God fulfilled His promise to give His people a land of their own. So let's watch a video and let's find out what really happened in that battle.
God was with His people as they entered the promised land. Joshua and the Israelites had defeated the cities of Jericho and Ai. They made peace with their neighbors, the people of Gibeon. One day, the Israelites came to a place ruled by 5 kings. The kings did not love God or worship Him. They had heard about God's people and were afraid.
One king called to the other 4 kings in the land. He said to them, "Help me attack Gibeon, because it has made peace with Joshua and the people of Israel." So the 5 kings joined forces and went up with all their armies to fight against Gibeon. The men of Gibeon sent a message to Joshua, "Help us, save us. All the kings who live in this land are fighting against us." So Joshua and his whole army went to Gibeon to help them. The Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of the kings, for I have handed them over to you. Not one of them will be able to stand against you."
Joshua and his army marched all night from where they were staying, and they surprised the 5 kings' armies. As the Israelites fought, God confused the kings' armies and helped Israel defeat their enemies. The 5 kings' armies fled. The Lord sent hail from the sky to stop them. The battle was not over. Joshua needed more time to fight before the sun went down. So Joshua prayed to God, "Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and moon over the valley." The sun stood still and the moon stopped until Israel and Gibeon defeated the kings.
The sun did not set for almost a full day. There has been no day like it before or since. As the Israelites traveled in the promised land, they took over many other cities. God fought for His people and helped Joshua and the Israelites conquer the land God had promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
God gave the Israelites peace and rest from their enemies for many years. When Joshua was old, he reminded the Israelites about all the great things God had done for them. The people said, "We will worship the Lord because He is our God." Then Joshua died.
What an awesome story. God's people needed God's help to defeat their enemies, and God provided them with help in a spectacular way. God made the sun stand still and gave His people victory. Isn't it wonderful to see God's faithfulness in story after story? No matter how unfaithful the people prove themselves to be, God remains faithfully. He keeps all His promise. God's promise to give the people a land of their own was finally fulfilled at the end of Joshua's life. God gave them victory in the land and let them experience peace after years of fighting. When we begin to understand how great and glorious God is, it makes sense that we would want to give God glory. And let's back to the big picture question. How can we glorify God? We can glorify God by loving Him and obeying Him. But God's people like us often forgot God and sin against Him by trying to glorify themselves. We will see in the future weeks that though they live in the land God had promised, they did not perfectly obey God's rules about the land. Only Jesus loved and obeyed God perfectly. Only Jesus perfectly glorified God. Joshua's name means the Lord is salvation. God fought for Joshua and the Israelites, saving them and giving them victory over their enemies. Our greatest enemy today is sin. But sinner, that's us, can look to God for victory over sin and death. God brought us salvation by sending His Son, Jesus Christ, to die on the cross and rise again. Jesus conquered our biggest enemy when He rose from the grave. We can love and obey Him as the leader of our lives who brought us the victory.